Christmas Day, 800 AD. A man kneels in Rome and rises as Roman emperor. But Charlemagne was not Roman, not Italian, not even Mediterranean. He was Frankish from modern Belgium and Western Germany. His capital, Aachen, was a city the Romans knew only for its hot springs, deep in the forests of northern Europe, far from the olive groves and vineyards they considered the heart of civilization. So how did the center of the Western world shift from the sunny Mediterranean to the forests of the north? One Belgian historian had a provocative answer, and it involved the Prophet Muhammad. To understand how we got here, we need to meet a Belgian historian with a radical idea. But first, the textbook version. Rome fell in 476 when the last Western emperor was deposed. Barbarian kingdoms replaced Roman provinces. End of story. This is the narrative most of us learned. Henri Pirenne, writing in the early 20th century, thought it was fundamentally wrong. Not wrong on the facts, wrong on what mattered. Pirenne's core claim: the barbarian invasions did not end the Roman world. Look at this map. The Roman Empire was held together not just by legions, but by the Mediterranean itself. It was a single economic and cultural zone. Grain from Egypt, olive oil from North Africa, wine from Gaul, gold coinage circulating everywhere. The barbarian kings who replaced Roman governors in the 5th and 6th centuries. They admired Rome, they imitated its customs, minted coins with Roman imagery, and kept the trade networks running. The Mediterranean remained Rome's highway. That what truly killed the Roman world, Pirenne argued, was not the Germanic tribes. It was the Arab conquests of the 7th century. Islam swept across North Africa, the Levant, and Spain, and turned the Mediterranean from a Roman highway into a contested frontier. This brings us to Pirenne's famous formulation and the title of his most important book, Mohammed and Charlemagne. The Pirenne Thesis, as it became known, is the argument that the rise of Islam, not the barbarian invasions, ended the Roman world and created medieval Europe. Here's the logic. With the Mediterranean closed off by Arab naval power, the economic and political center of gravity in Western Europe shifted northward. The Frankish dynasty, based in modern Belgium, Western Germany, the Netherlands, and northeastern France, rose to dominance. Charlemagne's capital at Aachen symbolized this new, non-Mediterranean Europe. As Pirenne put it, without Mohammed, Charlemagne would have been inconceivable. Islam, in this view, did not destroy civilization. It created Europe by forcing the West to become something entirely distinct from the old Roman Mediterranean world. It's an elegant argument, a single causal chain linking the Prophet Muhammad to a Frankish emperor 3 centuries later. But is it true? Archaeology has delivered a clear verdict on the economic claim. Pirenne was wrong. Mediterranean trade did not collapse after the Arab conquest. Excavations across the Mediterranean basin have uncovered pottery, coins, and trade goods that continued to circulate between Christian and Muslim ports well into the 8th and 9th centuries. Arab merchants did not close the sea. In many cases, they expanded trade networks, connecting the Mediterranean to Indian Ocean commerce. The specific mechanism Pirenne proposed, that Islam severed the economic arteries of the Roman world, is largely disproven. The Mediterranean remained a zone of exchange, not a wall. So if the economic argument fails, why do historians still talk about Pirenne a century later? Because the broader cultural observation holds up remarkably well. By the 8th and 9th centuries, 3 genuinely distinct civilizations had emerged from what had been one interconnected Mediterranean world. The Islamic Caliphate stretched from Spain to Persia. The Byzantine Empire, the surviving Eastern Roman state, held Anatolia and Greece. And the Latin West, under Charlemagne and his successors, dominated France, Western Germany, and northern Italy. 3 different religions, 3 different legal systems, 3 different literary cultures, 3 capitals, Baghdad, Constantinople, Aachen. The Mediterranean was no longer anyone's lake. It was a border zone between worlds. This tripartite division is real, and Pirenne identified it before most historians took it seriously. One detail captures this transformation powerfully. In 661, the Islamic Caliphate established its capital at Damascus, a Mediterranean city with deep roots in the Greco-Roman world. But in 762, the Abbasid dynasty, the new rulers of the Islamic world, moved the capital to Baghdad, deep in the former Persian Empire, far from the Mediterranean coast. This was the de-Mediterraneanization of Islam, the shift of an entire civilization's center of gravity away from the sea that had defined the Roman world. Even if trade continued, the cultural orientation of Islam was turning eastward toward Persia and Central Asia. So if Pirenne was wrong about the economics, why do historians still talk about him a century later? Because his thesis is a masterclass in how historical thinking works. Before Pirenne, historians asked, why did Rome fall? After Pirenne, they asked, when did the Roman world actually end and what replaced it? That shift in questioning opened decades of productive scholarship. A thesis can be wrong on mechanism, but right on pattern. One more point was making explicit. Pirenne held no hostility toward Islam. He did not blame Muslims for destroying civilization. In his framework, Islam was a transformative force, not a destructive one. It created Europe by forcing the Latin West to develop its own identity. That distinction matters, especially when this thesis gets misused in modern political arguments. Return to where we started. Charlemagne at Aachen, a Roman emperor who wasn't Roman, ruling from a city that wasn't Mediterranean, leading a civilization that was becoming something new. Whether or not Mohammed created Charlemagne, the world that produced him was genuinely different from the world of Augustus or Marcus Aurelius. What caused that transformation remains one of the great questions in Western history.